Either or, Tua or Justin Herbert, who you got?
I'm going to go with Tua. I know he's hurt. I know he has some of the injury issues, and that can be a problem. But you know what? I've watched Tua do it over the course of his college career. His numbers have been fantastic. Highest career efficiency rating among all quarterbacks in the history of college football. He looks good. The problem is with Herbert, he's big, he's pretty, he checks all of the boxes. He's a pretty good quarterback. The problem is there's been some accuracy issues at times. Some of his touch passes, and that's an issue that I have to look at and say, hey, I'm going to give a slight edge to Tua.
Defensive side, Okudah or Simmons, who you got?
I'm going to go with Jeffrey Okudah. We talked about it in the last segment. I've got Chase Young, I've got Jeffrey Okudah, and then I've got Isaiah Simmons. It's not a knock on Simmons. It's the fact that if I'm a GM, I don't have to worry about who my defensive coordinator is going to be. I can just take Okudah because he's locked up. Simmons is very versatile, but the thing is you have to be able to use him well, or it's just taking a portion of the school zone.
And then finally, the receivers in this draft are spectacular. Jeudy or Lamb, who you got?
Jeudy's fantastic, but I've got to go with Lamb. You know why? I'm watching this guy. He's big. He's physical. He's not the fastest guy top end in the world, but he catches the ball high point. He reminds me of a guy who's been the best receiver in the NFL for the past 3 years, and that's can't guard Michael Thomas. Neither of these guys were testing out in the 40 and were blazers. They win at routes, they win at the point of contact, and all they do is make plays.
Paul, spring football, you buy it?
No, I don't. I think it's the worst idea I've heard, and I know the desperation to try to get the football season in. But Greeny, there's one thing we really haven't thought about here. We're arguing about fans, classrooms, and attendance, but do we really think that fans are going to come back? I know college football fans are the most fervent in the country. I deal with it every day on what I do, but I have some serious doubt whether college football fans are going to want to sit in a stadium with 110,000 people again. And that's the biggest unknown, I think, of this entire debate.
No question about it. Booger, spring football, obviously there's a lot to consider. What would you think?
Well, it's a terrible idea, but I do think, to Paul's point, if they do have football, I mean, there's enough alcohol and beer out there where fans are drinking up, they'll come to the stands. But just from an overall standpoint, Greeny, think about this from a spring football scheduling issue. You're going to ask players, 17 to 21-year-olds, to play, let's just say it's a truncated schedule. So 10, 12 games in the spring. We're going to take a couple months off, come back and play another 10, 12 in the fall. 24, 25 games in a calendar year. In an era where we're trying to promote player safety, that doesn't work. And let's just look ahead. A guy like Trevor Lawrence at Clemson, okay, he's supposed to be the #1 pick in the NFL draft next year. So if there's going to be spring football, how does that affect him as far as next year's NFL draft? Is the NFL going to change their schedule? How are they going to do it? So there's so many factors that you have to look at, because if I'm Trevor Lawrence and the NFL draft is still going to take place in April, what incentive do I have to come out and play football in February and March and risk getting hurt when there's a draft in April, especially when we see kids sitting out bowl games in January? So there's so many things you have to factor in, Greeny. I think the first thing we have to do is look at the safety of humanity, then look at the safety of the players. And I think Mark Cuban said it the best. I would not be comfortable putting my players on the court if it's not safe for the fans. And I get it. We all want sports. We need something to talk about. But at some point, let's make sure everyone is safe before we move forward by trying to make money.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.